Hello everyone, this is Dr.P.Syamala from the Department of MBA International Business, Acharya Nagarjuna University. And today's our topic is regarding legal aspects of business decision making. In previous classes, we have studied about law, business law, and now we are going to see about the legal aspects of business decision making. Means while we are going to start a business, or else while we are going to buy a business, manage a business, or else winding up of business at different levels, or else at different stages of business, every business person has to take or else has to consider all these legal aspects. So without law, there would be complete anarchy in the business system or else in the society. Therefore, in each and every step of business decision makings, legal aspects should be taken into consideration. Okay, so if we see what were those legal aspects regarding these businesses, means many aspects have to be considered by the organizations. So if we talk about the legal aspects of businesses, so as we see different aspects in business, like from the installation or else from the formation of business to winding up of businesses deals with different laws. So in each and every step of business, many laws will be there. Okay, therefore business organizations has to see, or else business organizations have to be aware about all these business laws. So if we see law and this a major law is a major factor in business decision making. So almost every aspect of business is regulated by law. Okay, so see, almost every aspect of business is regulated by the law. So if we see here, even the installation of a business unit itself may involve observance of some legal provisions. Okay, some legal provisions, not only in installation of business, buying of business, okay, or else in order to manage the business, while winding up of business. So in each and every step of a business, legal provisions will be there, and each organization should follow all those legal provisions. So for instance, if we see, for example, okay, in case of a company, various provisions of Companies Act will be there according to Companies Act 1956. Okay, so what are those laws? So if we see, from, for example, from incorporation of a company, okay, or else the commencement of a company, if we see that aspect, incorporation means the registration of a company. If at all a company want to register, so it has to register with the ROC, means the Registrar of Companies. So while going for registration, so what are the key aspects? So it should submit the MOA, that is known as a Memorandum of Association, Articles of Association, Prospectus, etc. with ROC. Okay, so these are some of the business guidelines or else the laws that should be followed by the organizations. So for not only for registration of companies, in many aspects at the time of installation of company, so many rules and regulations have to be followed by the business organizations. Okay, so the legal aspect, this is the legal aspect that each and every organization has to follow. So we can see the relation between the business and the law, or else the legal aspects of business. Okay, so there is a the both are complementary disciplines. Okay, now if we see, certain business practices may amount to monopolistic, okay, restrictive, or unfair trade practices. See, in order to gain power in the market, in order to be supreme in the market, so many business organizations try to be very monopolistic. Monopoly means they want to be the number one position in the market. So for that, in order to have a power in the market, businesses follow unfair trade practices. Okay, so those unfair trade practices will be restricted by these laws. Okay, so for example, products supplied may be defective. Okay, for example, products supplied may be defective, so there may be, so the other party may be saved by the laws. Okay, likewise, sometimes the law may require a business to provide certain facilities to its employees. Okay, so what are the legal aspects means, if we see in this unfair trade practices, legal issues can be raised in case of installation, or else buying business, or else winding up of business, or else managing the business. Okay, there also legal provisions has to be followed by the organizations. And if we see, certain facilities will be given to the employees of the organization through law. Okay, like for instance, or else for example, provisions of labor welfare laws. Okay, each and every organization has to follow certain labor laws. Those are for the welfare of the employees who are working in the organizations. There is a legal obligation by the employers, okay, towards the employees in the organization. Means these labor laws, they benefit, they favor the employees of the organization. At any cost, every organization should follow, must follow all these labor laws or else welfare laws. Okay, so this is another legal aspect regarding the business decision makings. So each and every business people, they have to be aware about the labor laws or else the welfare laws. And if we see the Monopolies Inquiry Commission, okay, it recommended the enactment of law to control concentration of economic power in the hands of the business. Okay, so what does this concentration of economic power means? Basically, concentration of economic power means power in few hands. Power will be in few people. Okay, why? Because concentration of economic power means in order to increase wealth. Okay, in order to increase wealth, some few people, they will have more power. They want to keep more power within their hands. Okay, why? Because to increase the wealth. So in order to increase the wealth, they will follow certain unfair trade practices or else restrictive practices. Okay, like for example, fixing of the prices. Okay, or else selling the defective products, low quality products. All these aspects will be done. Why? Because in order to increase the wealth. Okay, not only these, many aspects. Okay, why means all these leads to the inequalities. Okay, inequalities in the society. So if we see, for example, small enterprises would find safer and more secure to enter into long-term contracts. Okay, small enterprises will be there. Okay, so those small enterprises, they want to, in order to have more sales for their product, okay, they have to enter into long-term contracts for exclusive sale agreements, okay, with large corporations. Okay, so why? Because in order to take up the responsibility, these large corporations, they will take up the responsibility to market the products of the small sectors, okay, under their own banner and trade name. So if we take for example dalda, okay, a hydrogenated vegetable oil, it is manufactured by many small independent enterprises, but strictly according to the specifications, packaging and other norms of production. Okay, but the practice of such uh, controlled, or else such subcontract is quite common in India, and this results, okay, this business power or else this type of small enterprises, uh, entering into contract with large corporations, it increases the power. Okay, it increases the growing concentration of business power, okay, of the larger corporations. This leads to monopoly. Why? Because they will have the power on those small enterprises. They will fix the prices. Okay, so when measured, it indicates the capacity of the few to influence the price structure. Okay, why? Because so as to reap high monopoly, so as to reap high profits. Okay, to create high wealth. So all these can be seen through concentration of economic power. Means power will be in few hands only. Okay, why? Because in order to create more wealth, in order to increase wealth, but this leads to the larger inequalities in the system. So this can be restricted by the MRTP Act, which is known as Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act 1969. Okay, so further, the labor union movement arose out of conflicts between workers and industry. So this led to the enactment of a plethora of laws for the welfare of the workers. Okay, so as concentration of economic power increased, it leads to the inequalities in the system. Okay, whenever there is inequality in the system, okay, further the workers in the industry, okay, so they have revolted. So whenever they revolted, certain aspects or else enactment of laws for the welfare of those workers have been launched. Okay, so further the consumer movement grew from consumer complaints, okay, about the defective goods and deficiency in services. Here if we see, this also comes under this trade practices only, unfair trade practices only. Why? Because if there are consumer complaints regarding defective goods or else deficiency in services, means definitely they are not following the fair practices, fair trade practices, the organizations. Okay, so here then it raised to the consumer complaints, and further this leads to the consumer protection acts. Okay, so likewise these laws, they protect the consumers, the suppliers, not only them but also the business organization people also in certain aspects. So if we see, law seeks to control concentration of economic power. Okay, so it is assumed that business which has economic power will abuse, okay, will abuse it to the detriment of its public. Who? Public, as it rightly said that power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Okay, so concentration of economic power. Law seeks to concentration of economic power. So for this aspect I have explained before. So it means that economic power will abuse the public. Why? Because the extreme zeal for wealth leads to unfair practices, restrictive practices by the businesses at the cost of public. Okay, so this leads to economic power will abuse the people, okay, by taking of their rights. Okay, so taking of their rights in the sense like for example, if we see, sending them the defective or else selling them the defective goods, not properly giving the services. Okay, so all this will be done by the organizations. Okay, so that is why power corrupts. Okay, and at the same time absolute power corrupts absolutely. Okay, so therefore the law will also has seen throughout this text as means of limiting concentration and abuse of economic power of business. So here if we see, law protects the concentration of economic power and at the same time the abuse of businesses to the public. Okay, so if we see regarding this concentration of economic power, okay, how we can see in other ways. Not only they are exploiting the small organizations, but also if we see example, for example, central government they have given complete freedom to banks to fix interest. Okay, so but all nationalized banks in India, they try to keep prime lending rate at artificial rates. Okay, which was obviously aimed at triggering of competition in the Indian economy high by resorting to cartelization, which is violative of the MRTP Act 1969. MRTP is nothing but monopolies, restrictive trade practices. So this whenever central government gives some freedom for the banks to for fixation of interest, all these come collude. Okay, so they form as an association of manufacturers or suppliers or bankers something. Okay, so they fix the some rate. Okay, so fixing some rate. Okay, and resorting to cartelization, which is against to MRTP Act. So cartelization is nothing but an association of manufacturers or suppliers with a purpose maintaining high prices and restricting competition. The main aim is to create high prices, so that is known as cartelization. Okay, so this cartelization is mainly to control and regulate the industry, maybe industry prices or else supply of commodity. Okay, by forming a cartel. Okay, so that is known as cartelization, which is against to the MRTP Act. Okay, so concentration of economic power is not only exploiting small organizations prices likewise, but also in this way. Okay, like cartelization. Okay, so the legal environment of business is the major factor in regulating its conduct, though some of the laws may act as facilitators for some segments of business at some time or the other. So law means not only in favor of the public but also favor of the businesses will be also there. Okay, the legal environment is created in such a way. So regulations will be on public also, on the business also. Okay, so here every aspect of business is controlled by the law. Okay, so controlled by the law in the sense, if we see from business organization side, like buying, selling, production, marketing. Okay, and other functions of business enterprise are to be conducted within the certain framework of legal environment. Okay, likewise the decision making process of business right from its very inception will be guided by law. This we have discussed before only, because decision making process of business means it starts from the starting of business to winding up of business. Different stages will be there. So in each and every stage, business decisions has to be taken according to the law. Okay, according to the business law. So certain conduct is illegal and business which commits acts or omissions declared to be illegal. So whenever businesses are declared as illegal means, okay, when business commits the acts, okay, illegal acts or else omissions of law. If at all it omits the law, okay, it doesn't act according to the law, then it is treated as the illegal and subject to sanctions. Sanctions means here they will be punished. Okay, so sanctions will be imposed, restrictions will be imposed. Okay, so likewise sanctions means fines also. Fines will be made on those businesses depending upon the violation of the act. Okay, or else imprisonment will also be made by the laws. Okay, so the sanctions may include liability for damage. So what are those sanctions? Sanctions means it depends upon the liability. Okay, liability of the damage, liability for damage. So if conduct amounts to breach of contract. Next, in addition, the law and legal sanctions may be used to prevent certain conduct or to require that certain acts be done or to make business to comply with some requirements. Okay, so laws and legal sanctions are used to prevent the conduct. Okay, so conduct not only the businesses but all the persons also. Okay, here business people must take decisions within the framework of law, otherwise sanctions will be imposed. Those sanctions may be in the form of fine or in the form of imprisonment. Okay, so further the courts interpret the legal provisions in the light of developments in social, economic and political changes in the country, they resort to what is known as judicial activism. So courts interpret, okay, courts may interpret with these business organizations, okay, in terms of, okay, in terms of social, okay, economic and political changes in the country. So that is known as judicial activism. Okay, so what does judicial activism means? It is an effective tool. Okay, so judicial activism means it is an effective tool in upholding citizens' rights. Okay, so it is the exercise of power of judicial, it is the exercise of the power of judicial review to set aside government acts. Okay, means it identifies undesirable exercise of the power. There is little agreement on which instances are undesirable. Here judiciary plays an important role in upholding and promoting the rights of citizens in a country, and at the same time preserving the constitutional and legal systems of the country. Okay, so that is known as the judicial activism. So in that name, on that name, judicial, on the name of judicial activism, courts interpret. Okay, so the real life situations pertaining to different legal aspects of businesses get reflected in judgments, in the form of judgments. Okay, so next one, it, the law provides a mechanism by which disputes between different parties are settled. Okay, definitely businesses will be in relation with different stakeholders like suppliers, customers, bankers, government, okay, dealers, creditors, debtors, likewise. So there may exist at some times some disputes between the parties. Okay, so these can be settled through these laws only. So law provides a mechanism to settle the disputes between the different parties. Okay, so for example, if a shopkeeper sells a defective product to a consumer, then the consumer has number of remedies under different legal provisions by which his rights will be vindicated, okay, safeguarded, right? So even though shopkeeper sells a defective product, consumer can get his rights, okay, through the legal provisions. Okay, so law provides a mechanism to the other party. Okay, next, if these legal rights are vested in those who are injured or aggravated or suffered injustice at the hands of others, okay, this leads to the other person has a right to sue in the court. Okay, if we see the same example, okay, selling defective product means it injures the customer's rights. Okay, so injustices happen to the customer, so therefore injustice gives rise to the creation of certain rights in favor of customer against shopkeeper. Okay, injury or injustice gives rise to the creation of certain rights, not only to the customer but shopkeeper also have some rights. Okay, or else injustice to shopkeeper also gives rise to the creation of certain rights in favor of shopkeeper. For example, shopkeeper sells goods on credit to consumer. Okay, and whenever the consumer fails to make the payment, okay, after the term of credit has expired, then the shopkeeper has certain rights against the buyer. Okay, so these rights are created by customs, statutes, judicial decisions, etc. We all have studied previously about what are customs, what are statutes, what are judicial systems. These are the sources of different laws. Okay, so depending upon the situation, okay, the laws will be enforced on that particular person. So in that way, this shopkeeper may have some rights regarding or else on the consumer. Okay, so here we can say that no one person have a right against himself, okay, but he has a right against some other person. He can have, for example, if we see here, say a shopkeeper has a right over consumer, means it, whenever a right is there over some other person, means definitely it involves imposition of duty. It involves imposition of duty on another person. Here the duty of this person is consumer is to pay the amount, because he had taken the goods, okay, in the form of credit, so his duty is to pay the amount. So this duty creates right to the shopkeeper, okay. So that is the meaning for this one. Right of one person involves imposition of duty on another person, okay. So here we can say that there are no absolute rights, okay, there is always some limitation. So purely no one person will have full rights. Absolute rights means full rights. Why? Because there will be certain limitations or the other on the other right of a person, okay. Likewise, for example, if we see here, a particular individual has a right to work and live, okay, but he is duty bounded not to leak business secrets, okay. So this is the duty of the person, but he has the right to work in any place, okay. That is known as absolute rights, but some limitation is there. What is that limitation? Duty to bound not to leak business secrets of his employer or the organization, okay. So this duty of employee is nothing but a right of his employer, and it puts a limit on the right of employee, okay. So that is why we can say that laws are no absolute rights, okay. There is always some limitation. So in this way, law recognizes and adjusts claim of individual rights within a society at important rights of different interest conflicts, and the law helps in balancing them. Whenever there is a conflict between the rights, okay, then law balances those conflicts, okay. Next, here if we see for that, how it can balance the right means, for instance, there may be conflicts between rights of a business enterprises granted it by one law and right of its employees granted to them by another law, okay. So law creates one right to business and another right to employees. So this conflict is increased due to the fact that no rights are absolute, okay. As I said before, here there are no absolute rights, okay. So whenever there is no absolute right, means it creates the conflict between the parties. For that also there will be a balancing law, okay. So another factor which must be kept in mind while studying the legal environment of the business is development of laws is closely associated with historical and social movements. If we see sources of law, means, okay, we have studied previously sources of law like primary sources and secondary sources, where it consists of customs, statutes, judicial decisions, judicial precedents, okay. So all these laws were enacted, okay, depending upon the historical things and also the social movements, okay. So the legal environment is created. The development of laws is closely associated with historical and social movements. So here, the main thing is the business managers, okay, who deal with the internal environment of the organization. He has to see the legal ramifications of their decisions. He has to give assurance of knowledge, knowing about the legal aspects of the businesses, okay. So therefore a business manager has to deal very frequently with some legal documents, because in every day, okay, he has to deal with different persons, different stakeholders. So in each and every relation there will be different laws. He has to deal with different laws, okay. So business manager has to know each and everything of the organizations relating to legal aspects, okay. So he has to scrutinize each and every documents of the organization regarding the legal aspects, okay. So Here if we see for that there is a case study. What means, see here, a business manager, he has to see each and everything. He has to know the enactments, he has to know the amendments, he has to know the ordinances. Okay, what are the provisions of the Constitution of India? Each and everything should be known by the business manager. If at all he has no knowledge regarding those aspects, means, so the organization will be in losses. Okay, for that we can see a case study. Okay, Kentucky Fried Chicken, we know, famously by KFC. Okay, so this KFC, the world's largest chicken-based fast food chain and part of the PepsiCo group, okay, decided to open about 100 outlets in India. Okay, and the first one being in the Bangalore. Okay, so the Bangalore City Corporation, it charged the outlet with serving chicken with levels of monosodium glutamate, MSG, we will call it as MSG. Okay, so MSG means it is a flavoring agent, okay, which gives a food to be tasty without actually making it tasty. Means the flavors, it creates the what to say, it creates the persons, it stimulates the people, it stimulates the taste buds and make them extra sensitive. Okay, so what is the MSG? Means monosodium glutamate. So this will be used in the food, okay, food of KFC. So a local unit of a political party threatened to demolish the outlet of KFC, to demolish this KFC, claiming that it was a cultural invasion that focused unhealthy eating habits. Okay, this is the reason that the local political party opposed this KFC. Okay, so already government allowed, it gave permission, it gave license to the KFC to keep their outlet in the Bangalore. Okay, but this political party threatened, okay, the KFC outlet. So even though the Indian government, it had allowed the entry of KFC, okay, how can you criticize it on grounds of cultural invasion? Means, okay, for this there is also a law. So the decision to permit Pepsi Food Limited to open a KFC outlet was criticized in Delhi. Okay, the actual event was done in Bangalore, but it is also criticized in Delhi also. Okay, so this is a sequel for this Bangalore City Corporation. So here if we see, the Indian Food and Drug Administration has put down a limit of 1%. Okay, 1% for all food additives, and anything above that amounts to adulteration. Means the usage of this MSG should not be above 1%. Okay, so if we see that this MSG is used in KFC contained 2%. Okay, 2% of MSG. So it is not according to the Indian Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954. So here what should we understand? Means, okay, the business manager of that KFC, he should know about the rules and regulations of the Indian Act. Okay, he should know about the level or else the percentage of the MSG that should be used in the food. Okay, and at the same time there is also another thing. What is that? Means the MSG should declare the fact on the pack, giving warning that not suitable for infants under 12 months. So this also should be mentioned on the food. Okay, so these are some of the rules regarding this Prevention of Food Alteration Act 1954. Okay, so each business manager, he has to know the legal aspects, okay, of the businesses, of the constitution of that particular country. So then only the businesses may exist. Okay, they can see the profits. So these are all some of the legal aspects in business decision making. While businesses are going to take decisions regarding all the aspects from formation of the business or else from starting up of the business to ending up of the business. Okay, they have to know the legal aspects and they have to work according to the legal framework of the constitution. Okay,